Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's Wednesday today already. Can't believe it. Short week turns into a long week. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for tuning in on the live stream. If you're live, we'll get into the good mornings. But if you're watching on the replay, which a lot of people do, thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And if you want to catch us live, you know where to find us, 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific time to about 8:45. Although they've been going longer the last little bit. Keep me chatting, keep me rambling on. And if there's some good conversation, we'll keep going. Without further ado, though, let's get into the good mornings because I saw Candace, you're back, but someone beat Candace to the live stream this morning, and then we'll give it to Nadia this morning. Let's gonna try this. Hopefully, Nadia. Hopefully, you're still watching. We'll see if this we'll see if this DJ horn works. A little bit of fun in the morning. So there you go. That's for Nadia. The interesting thing about that is I can't not hear it on my end. So you either hear it or you don't, but welcome, Nadia. Always good to have you here. Thanks for tuning in. You were first. Very good. Thanks for coming in and spending your morning with me. Awesome. Always appreciate it. And Candace, good to have you back, Candace. Hopefully you're feeling better. I saw you popped in yesterday for a little bit, so hopefully you're on the mend and we can look forward to new videos. Maybe leave in the comment, Candace, if you've got anything upcoming that people can keep an eye out for, by all means, put that in the chat. Always appreciate it. It'd be good to have you back, and hopefully you're rested, and a little bit of break from YouTube's not a bad thing, anyways. Take the time to relax. I've been the opposite on YouTube, which we'll get into because that leads into getting monetized, that kind of stuff. But Stan, good morning. Always good to have you here. You always make it first thing in the morning. Always good. And hopefully you're doing well, and hopefully everybody's doing okay on the market today. Kind of an ugly day yesterday, but that's okay. That's one day in, I always look at it as like one day in 10 years. So yesterday, we will forget probably what even happened yesterday. So. And Candace, we'll get to your joke in a second. And there we go. So Nadia, it did work. You get the DJ horn for being first. So silly in the morning. But the coffee crew is rolling in. So we've got Paul. Good morning, Paul. Always good to have you here too. Always good. I'm gonna have a sip. And I think that's everybody. I caught everybody. If you're new to the stream, here we go. People roll in. It always takes a few minutes for people to roll in. We'll keep it. Good morning, Sean. Always good to have you back. That's awesome. I was going to say before we had the hello from Sean is if you're new, welcome. Don't be afraid to say hi. With a good group of people here. We talk about our TFSAs. We talk about investing in general, and a lot of times the conversation goes in different places. It's good. It's a good learning experience. I've learned a ton on these live streams. Coffee Crew does not steer you wrong, so that's good. Always appreciated that because I was looking. Speaking of Coffee Crew and choices and stuff like that, because we're coming up on the 100th live stream. And I did a thing where when I had my 100th portfolio update, I bought 100 shares of diversified royalty corp, DIV, and I was logged in and looking at my Wealthsimple today, and that's like one of my best performers right now. So the Coffee Crew did not steer me wrong on that. Again, look back, 2020 hindsight, right? Is always I should have possibly bought more. It was a bit of a stretch to get that at the time because it was around about $300, close to $299. I think I got it at, but so bought 100 shares of that. But where I'm getting with this is I do want to do another kind of purchase for the 100th episode. So either 100 shares of Div, but it's getting expensive now. I have to scrape together for that. But maybe there's another one that someone can recommend. Put it out there just to everybody that's watching. Let me know in the comments if there's anything like that. We'll figure something out for that one. But this is what I really missed is with Candace being away, we missed her ChatGPT jokes to get us started with the terrible pun jokes. So ChatGPT joke of the day: why did the man in the rooster costume want to invest in the stock market? He heard it was a great way to expand his portfolio. Those are just terrible, but that's pretty good. Good old ChatGPT. I've still been using ChatGPT a lot for the channel. I've been kind of spending a bit of time. This kind of goes back to a bit of kind of where, like I said, Candace taking the week off, which is awesome. Take some time. I've been trying to kind of revisit the channel a little bit, some of the back stuff. But I've been using ChatGPT to help rewrite some of the old video descriptions. And it's doing a pretty good job. Just kind of looking for little tweaks and stuff on the channel to kind of bring up some viewership, trying to bring more, possibly bring some more people in that can find the channel with that. Obviously, YouTube uses the channel descriptions and stuff to help with search and algorithms and all that good stuff. And so I've been working on that. So using ChatGPT, it actually does a pretty good job helping with the titles and helping with the descriptions, especially, which is great. So I've been working on that kind of behind the scenes. Good morning, MC. Always good to have you here. Always good. And yeah, I agree with that one, Sean. So that's definitely a face palm joke. I wonder if ChatGPT can actually give a. I mean, the pun jokes are great. I do. They are good because they're so bad. But I wonder if ChatGPT can actually give a actually funny joke. You know, like an actual joke. Hard to know. I bet you it could if you search. You know, asked it enough questions to create something. But. And always good. So on that note, market kind of terrible yesterday. Down like 2%, I think was what. But again, carried through. I'm continuing on with my weekly dollar cost average. That's my. It's kind of interesting. My portfolio has kind of got. You know, I don't want to say boring, but I'm just sticking with the plan for the foreseeable future right now. And I did that purchase, $100 in the account. I put it in PSA, bought one share of that. I bought a share of VDY, and then I put the rest into the S&P VFV. Pretty standard. I didn't share it on the community tab because it's kind of like the same. So I don't know if people want to keep seeing that or not, but I didn't post it on there because it's just kind of what happens. And carry on with that. Obviously, market closed on the Monday, so purchased it yesterday, and so I guess not a bad day to be able to buy a little bit. You know, that's where I'm kind of saw it, and we'll carry it on next week. So I don't know if anybody took advantage of yesterday. You kind of maybe see if there's some advantage there. If there's things that you wanted to grab and pick up, let me know in the comments. It's always good to hear what people are doing. I've been following a little bit on Blossom a lot more, and some people are taking the advantage to buy kind of things that they wanted to hold long term, and then some people sold some things, that kind of things, and yeah. And Candace, so you did your deep dive on Aritzia. Filmed it this morning, so we'll drop tomorrow. Yeah, I was asking about that. It's Aritzia is one of the ones. I don't own Aritzia, but I have a friend. His wife bought Aritzia quite a while ago. Actually, she's done quite well, and she's hanging on to it. So I don't think I would have been able to hang on to it that long because I know how far she is kind of up in the thing, but she's sticking to it. So I'll be interested to kind of hear that video when it comes up. So I got my notifications on. I'll listen to that when it's posted. That's awesome. Good to have you back. And yeah, it's probably not your target market. Probably not your target. You're probably not the target audience for Aritzia, Vic. But I know a lot of people do. They've done also a lot of they've gone into online ordering, expanding in the States. It's could be the next. I don't know. Could be the next Lululemon, maybe. That's maybe the hope. Yeah, that's and there we go, Vic. Good call. So they are expanding into the States, but yeah, if it gets adopted, like it's been adopted in Canada, if the same thing transitions to the States, then yeah, it will be a good one. Yeah, I've still thought about somebody's maybe buying some of that, but I obviously haven't. Everybody kind of sees my portfolio in there, but yeah, probably not a good choice. Well, unless Vic, you're buying clothes for somebody, I don't know. It's up, whatever. there might be something in there. I don't know if they ever sold men's clothes. No, I'm thinking of there's another store I'm thinking of that had kind of men's stores, but Lululemon, or sorry, not Lululemon had some men's clothes. That's what it was. And MC ATC Aritzia has a multi-bagger potential. If the States, if it gets listed in the States and stays relevant, stays on trend, it could be good. They do have stores, like Candace said, MC. They do have stores in the States. I'm not sure how many. Candace would probably know because she's done the deep dive. So New York is the only one. Do they? I don't know if they have an online presence yet in the States. I'd have to look into that too. This is why we're going to go watch Candace's video after it posts. We'll learn all about not Lululemon, sorry, Aritzia, that we don't know. But might be something to keep an eye on. MC, you've had some good calls so far. A couple of that one with was it the lithium one you called? So maybe keep an eye. Not financial advice, obviously, but keep an eye on Aritzia. So we'll see. Yeah, Lululemon's quite pricey for sure. I don't know how they're doing lately. I haven't really followed it. They had the big, they've done quite well, obviously, but I don't really follow them. I can't afford Lululemon either, or I choose not to spend my money on those things. But they're quite popular. Lots of stores of Lululemon, that's for sure. And I read that too as well this morning. I haven't read on Starbucks, but I read that Intel slashed their dividend to the lowest in I think 16 years today. So yeah, interesting times. And you bought some VDY. Awesome, fractional VDY. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I bought one. That's kind of it's still under $50. I put $100 in every week, Vic, as you probably know, and it gives me a chance to buy. Gets me to buy one share, just one a week, but every little bit adds up. And in terms of VDY, I didn't pull up the news, but they released their dividend again for this month, right? Paid next month, and it's up still the same. It's still, I think, the same, so 16 something cents, which is good. So happy about that. There was that big fiasco last month where it got really they reported it wrong, but yeah. And MC remembers when Aritzia went for an IPO. Okay, I was thinking about it at the time, but never bought. It was a bit of a rocky post-IPO, but looks like they're performing well and moving to the US looks good so far. There we go. So maybe something to keep an eye of. I think it's actually on. Let me just double check, MC. I think Aritzia is actually on. It is on our watch list. So maybe something to keep an eye on. Let's see, year to date. I think it's down year to date. Yeah, but 1 year, 5 year. See, there we go. Yeah, we'll have to see. The IPO was back in the day. You would have been doing okay, probably, obviously, but obviously it's hard to know what to buy, especially IPO. It's always risky with that, but yeah, something maybe keep an eye off. I'm looking for a video, Candice. That'd be good. Yeah, it was. I read that too. Yeah, worst day so far in 2023, but 2023 is still young, so we can be a bit optimistic. I think we're still going to be in that bumpy. It's going to be bumpy. It's not a surprise. Hopefully, we're not as terrible as last year, but again, it's not. Let's not. It's 1 day so far. We'll see. And again, I can only speak for myself. It's long term, so I'll just kind of roll with it. Keep investing. Keep doing my plan. So. And you bought Shopify back. Is that back in the day? Back when it came out? Vic, good call. Still haven't followed much of Shopify, but you missed your last comment there. Got deleted. That's okay. And so you took your I see. So you took your house down payment and put it in Shopify. I think I told this one time on a live stream, Vic, is I had almost put a down payment. This is back when I bought a first condo apartment, and this is going back, gonna date myself now, over 20 years ago. I almost, instead of putting it as a down payment, I almost bought Apple when it was back when it was almost, when I was always an Apple user, and it was right when Steve Jobs came back to Apple, and the stock was terrible, it was doing bad, and it was this lowest for the longest time, and hindsight, I probably wouldn't have kept it till today anyways, but I would have been, I wouldn't have been, had I put that same amount into Apple stock, I probably would be live streaming, I think, from, I'd be live streaming from paradise somewhere, probably, instead of where I am, but that's okay, hindsight. Oh, you got it last week. Okay, you put it into, it is always tough to see stuff down. That's the hardest part. That's the really hard part about investing, is you see this stuff go down and you're just like, oof. But, if you have a long-term conviction for stuff, it's hopefully will work. And if you have some opportunity, to buy more, I don't say buy more, but there might be some opportunity there. Just to do your research, right? Obviously. And there we go. MC still in cash. Yeah, still. So 40% in cash. Plan to start deploying next month. March has a few historical bottoms, 2009 and March 2020. Well, March 2020, I remember that one. And it's interesting. interesting call, MC. I think a lot of people are sitting on cash, or they're deploying cash in other places. Like that's more like we talk about GICs a ton. Probably a lot of people sitting on some cash that go, you know what? Hey, I can make 5%. No brainer, putting it into a GIC or even a high interest right now cash ETF, right, makes you close to 5, and it's kind of like a no brainer. So why not hang on to it while the market's really rough? But that's, I think, what a lot of people are doing. I don't think you're alone. I still have. I do my regular. I do my regular deposits, but I'm not going like more. It's okay to keep cash. That's for sure. I think not a bad call, especially if it's making 4.5%. Yeah. And Candace is sitting on a chair, not cash. That's good. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, if you I try to buy the dips and flip for a quick profit, but it doesn't work that way. Some gambling. Yeah, you know what? I'm not a buyer flipper, really. A buy and holder. There's a few I'll kind of hang. Like there's a few you've seen the portfolio, so there's a few I've hung on to that I've cashed out of when I've made some. Okay, I'm kind of learning that. That's my learning, that I've trying to take some money off the table when I'm able to. But yeah, nothing wrong with that. But it's hard to time it. Obviously, if you're trading, I'm not. For me, anyways, I'm not smart enough, and I don't have the time to follow it as much, right? So. And good call. Yeah, there is no. Everybody makes mistakes, right? I've made mistakes. I think everybody on here has made mistakes at some point. You just try and make less of them as you go, and try and obviously learn from them and don't try and do them. Don't try and do them again. The same. Don't make the same. Try not to make. It's harder, easier said than done. But don't try not to make the same mistakes twice. It's like life lessons in investing. Yeah, that's exactly point A to point B. But the point A to B goes like this and back and all these ways, and that's the hardest part. That's why That's why I think a lot of as I've been kind of hanging out a bit more on Blossom. There's a lot of new investors there, and I'm still a new investor, right? And a lot of them are. You see them, it's really hard, right? Because it's like these questions, like where do I put my money? Do I buy this? What's my portfolio like? And I think a lot of people, and I can probably, me as well, you'd probably be better off a lot of times just putting everything in. Not necessarily everything, but just everything in an S&P ETF and call it a day. Or if you can't handle those. This is the thing. Most people can't, like between A and B, can't hold because your mind starts playing, scenarios. What if, and you end up selling or doing something that isn't necessarily good for the long term. And like, what even Vic said, what was it? Shopify down, 6%. It's hard to see that, right? And even if you're experienced, you're kind of like, the more experience you get, the more you can kind of stomach those, because you kind of you learn, you can handle the volatility that you're maybe used to, or, that kind of thing. But some people, I think, if you can't at all, sometimes it's better just to, well, number one, maybe not look so much at your portfolio, but also look at some of the other managed investments. I speak about it before. I have my RRSP in the invest side of Wealthsimple, and I'm happy with it. It takes kind of the emotion out of that portion of it. I can just do a regular, RRSP deposit as I do it throughout the year. It comes out, goes into the allotment that I have, and it does all that stuff for me. And I don't have to stress about my RSP too. I just have to stress about my TFSA on there. So yeah, and that's exactly it. You could put anything in 20. Obviously, if you look at March 2020, there was panic and scare. We thought the world. Everybody, we didn't know what the heck was even happening, right, Vic? So it's easy to look back and go, yeah, but it's taking that leap to put it in, but that's what people did, right? And it was like you could literally buy anything and then the next day sell it, right? if for the most part, on that. And yeah, I used to check. I mean, back in the day, I would check more than annually. I mean, let us know in the comments before everybody. I mean, obviously we're so connected now, right? Like if you have everything's on an app, and you can log in 50 times a day, which is probably not a good thing. But obviously keep an eye on things. Before I started using Wealthsimple and self-directed stuff, I would basically check on my portfolio basically kind of quarterly, but I wouldn't really do anything, right? Because it was in a managed. It's the same as kind of with my. If it's not self-directed, you really don't have to pay as much attention because you're not choosing necessarily what to buy as much, right? Whereas if it's like my self-directed TFSA, you're watching it a bit more closely because you're trying to figure out, you want to do maybe your regular deposit, but then there's maybe some opportunity that you want. You have some extra money, and it's that deciding what to put it in, and maybe adding something new. Whereas if it's before, I used to I would have my investments coming out I did it every 2 weeks, and I still do it every 2 weeks for my RSP, kind of just tied to paydays. Would go in, and I just never changed it. And so you go through, and then you check your quarterly statement. You're like, oh, okay, it's up. Oh, okay, it's down. And then you kind of leave it and let it just keep going. And then you'd maybe have a once a year call with an advisor, and that's all you did. Whereas now you're definitely more into it. But I think that's sometimes not necessarily a good thing to check it too much, right? And having more diversity helps smoothen out the volatility. That's exactly it. And I noticed that on the invest side, because it's diverse. It's mostly equities that I have in my RSP. It's like 90% equities, 10% bonds. Bonds are doing terrible, but you can't. It's in there, and it's diversified. North America, Canadian, U.S., emerging markets. Global, and then it's a little bit of gold, a little bit of cash. So it does definitely even things out, as you know. But of course, coming out of last year, everything was terrible. So the bonds didn't didn't offset any of the losses on the equities. So it was kind of just bad all around. But just with doing continually dollar cost averaging, it's not as terrible as it would be had I done nothing. So. And Paul's got HDIF, HDIF, and HYLD this week. Red days are the best. Yeah, I mean, there's one thing to look about it. If it works out on the days that you're able to do your dollar cost averaging, it's great, right? It's kind of good to look at it, and you just kind of, okay, and just keep going. It's making sure you're continuing to do it, right? That's the hard part. But I think if you budget correctly, that's one thing I've kind of noticed on Blossom is some of the new investors. Like kind of asking how much should I invest, and it's like you got to back up a little bit before that and go figure out your budget. How much can you actually afford to invest? It's not just putting all your money into something without having a budget in place and making sure that you're not investing too much, right? Because as we see, the prices can go down. You can lose money, and you want to make sure that you're not having to dip into something when it's down, for your investments. Trevor started in March 2020. Awesome. That's good. Yeah, I started when did I? Well, I started this channel April 2021. So, but back then I had kind of started off mostly with, like on the managed investment side before, like for a long time, but transferred over. I'd have to look back when I actually transferred I had that lira that I transferred over to Wealthsimple. That's kind of what started. It was the lower fees that got me there in the first place, and then just kind of started and decided to do a self-directed TFSA because I had done nothing with the TFSA at all. So, and that's it. That's exactly one massive gain can actually make up for losses. That's for sure. I mean, I noticed that on my portfolio with making that switch to buy that. I mean, the yield Tesla is down a little bit. I'm still up. It's great. Happy with that. So that's definitely made up some losses, which is good. And I think that will hopefully continue. Yes, there was a lot of barrier. I mean, that's the one thing. I mean, when Wealthsimple first started, you couldn't get fractional shares. I know that, but it's pretty simple now. There's no real excuse to not be able to start investing, even if it's a small bit, right? If you're new, I mean, gosh, I wish I knew now what I knew when I was 19, or back then. Just even easy, as I noticed, even putting small weekly amounts in, makes, after a couple of years, it starts to really snowball. Cliche to sound like it snowballs, but it does. It really does. It just takes a bit of perseverance and a bit of budgeting to really do it. So, yeah. But yeah, I guess on the flip side of that too, Vic, as I read the rest of your answer there, or your question, not everyone now everyone can invest even in fractional stocks. Not sure if it's a good thing ultimately. It depends on the person, right? I guess investing in yourself, like self-directed, isn't for everybody, right? You have to know what your skill and tolerance for change, because you're going to notice more volatility in a self-directed one for sure, depending what you're invested in, or any investment. You're always going to have those days where you're going to go like, what am I doing? But if you have a proper budget in place to not invest too much and make sure you're just putting in what you can, I think it's a good. I think the one good thing it's with these, making it easier for people, it's maybe helped people get into investing too, which is I think is good for people. So if you're going to break even in Shopify, you're going to buy some bank stocks. Earnings, yeah, earnings are coming up, I think, on bank stock. We haven't got into the news today. It hasn't. I think they're coming out towards the end of this week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Debt can snowball. Yeah, especially now, right? With the interest rates the way they are, you want to make sure that you're trying to pay that off as much as possible and don't take as much on. That's the whole goal. Try not to take as much. Try not to take much debt on, and try and pay it off, right? Credit cards is a big one. That's for sure. Those add up. If you're not able to pay off your monthly bill, and that's the thing, just try not to spend the money. I kind of look at it like, if I'm putting money into you just sacrifice certain things instead of putting on a credit card. Don't buy it, right? It's hard to kind of, some people can't, I'm at least fairly diligent with that. Sometimes obviously expenses come up that you're not necessarily expecting. You might have to use a credit card, but hopefully you can, do something and maybe sell an investment or move some stuff around, some of your emergency fund to pay it off. Make sure it's not getting racked up. That's for sure, because it's easy to rack up a credit card. That's for sure. Yeah, that would be a good something for the future. I know, Sean, I know Candace has been doing she's done some videos on, Candace is the one that does all these good deep dives. She's done ones on OAS and like old age security and CPP, but might be a good idea to look at possibly when to start looking at that over the RSPs to RIF and TFSA withdrawal strategies. I mean, the one thing about the TFSA is it's you're not having to do any, but there's going to be some strategies down the road for sure. I'll have to worry about that. It's probably sooner rather than I'm a ways off from 70, but 71, but it's something to probably think about. So good call. I'll put that on the kind of in the filing there. Oh, awesome. You just saw that came out. So ex-dividend date for yield Tesla is this time, or it's around February 24th. They declared the same dividend, 30 cents, just over 30 cents. That's awesome. That's a nice one. That's one of those ones you always wish you bought more, but it's happy with where it's sitting. I think I'm debating. I added some position to Google on that, the yield Google. I don't know I'll have to see now that they've posted what the dividends are, but I kind of want to build that up just because I'm kind of thinking with the whole AI thing and that kind of stuff. We'll have to see. Good call. I know some people have done quite well on yield Tesla. yeah, if all of us do well, and hopefully we do well, and RSP grows, then the withdrawal with RIF could be, yeah, it could be. I mean, this is the thing is sometimes I've read articles saying like people sometimes over contribute to everything because they actually are worried about not having enough money in retirement, but they end up kind of with, it sounds crazy, but end up with too much money and having to take it out, and then it affects obviously your OAS, CPP, taxes, all that kind of thing. That's when a good accountant would come in to figure out what the heck, and a good financial person to figure out what the heck we should be doing with the time. But yeah, because it's going to starts to add up. Yeah, MC. So, you stopped out of your 30% loss. Might go back up again, but I try to be emotionless. Yeah, I feel like the indexes might be heading down, and rates up. So I want to reduce my high. Okay. I think rates probably, that's kind of what they're pricing now. Rates, summertime increases possibly. That's a good question, Vic. I actually was at home. I lived with my mom for the past, well, not this year, but I was at my mom's looking after her for, how long was it? About 9 months. So it's okay if you're able to save. If you're able to save some money, it's not a bad thing. Other than as long as you don't fight. But if you have a basement suite, maybe it's not so bad. My mom doesn't have a basement suite, so it was kind of living in a bedroom, which wasn't ideal, but it worked out. That's all right. But yeah, who knows what people's answer for that? I think maybe do it for as long as possible, because if you can put more in your TFSA, then why not? And that's it. That's a good call, and that's where an accountant comes in. I mean, I'm not an accountant by any means, as everybody kind of knows, but it's the goal. That's the goal with the RSP, is to take it out when you're paying less taxes. But it's you have to really make sure that you could do it the right way. Make sure you're not, obviously the whole goal is to not pay more taxes than you have to. Again, tax time I hate, but that's kind of it. Good call. If it's cheaper than rent, stay at your parents' basement as long as possible, as long as they'll let you. Yeah, I'm with that vote. Why not? Take advantage of it, right? If you're able to, as long as everything works, as long as everything's working, right? Then why not? If you're paying room and board and it's cheaper than what you'd pay for a comparable rental somewhere, then I think that works. And if you're paying rent to your parents, it's helping them out too, right? Gets them a decent tenant, and not having to worry about a bad tenant being down there if they need to rent it out, and helps them with some extra cash. And taxes, yeah, don't get me started on taxes. We had the tax conversation yesterday. I was getting a bad mood having to talk about taxes, and it's inevitable. But yeah, it depends, right? If you find you might find someone that is if you find someone that's really into investing too and saving money, they might actually go, okay, this is a good opportunity, but if you're spending your house down payment on Shopify, they might not agree with that. You might want to keep some a bit more in cash. Yeah, there's lots of tenants that don't pay rent. You want to make sure you pay your rent. Yeah, I don't know how that works either, but and every province is a bit different with that. It's definitely hard to get a bad tenant out. That's why I think a lot of people start doing longer term basement rentals, like with Airbnb and stuff like that. As much as some people hate Airbnbs, I have a friend that has a basement suite, and he does basically long term. He does more long-term rentals. He'll rent them on, and it's usually, he's been doing it for a few years now, but it's usually for people that are in the city for work. So they'll rent it for 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, and it works out better. It's furnished. It's like a furnished, one. I think this is a 1-bedroom basement suite, but it's furnished, and it works out for the company that is renting it for their employee. And actually now he's kind of been doing it for so long that it mostly doesn't actually have to go through Airbnb. It just goes through, he rents it directly to the past companies that have used it as a rental. So it kind of worked out, and you're not dealing with a long-term tenant. That's terrible. It's only kind of, and then if he doesn't want to necessarily rent it out for whatever reason, if he's got friends and family coming into town, he won't rent it out and let them kind of stay there, and then rent it out once, put it up maybe on Airbnb or something when it's a shorter term rental, if there's spaces and someone's in between longer stays. And there's lots of stuff on the media about that. I would never want to be a landlord. Too many horror stories I've heard, and I mean obviously with work and stuff, I see people buying rental properties and stuff like that, and it's just I have no desire. Too many things can go wrong. Yeah. Yeah, over the top. That's true. Well, I did. That's the thing, right? If Ian, welcome. Always good to have you. Yeah, you turn that way as you get older, possibly. I did live in the city when I was in my 20s, and you spend all your money at the bar and pub, and then you learn later on in life. You probably should have put even a quarter of what you blew into something. It would have been better off. But hey, you got to live too. I agree. But that's I have good respect for, when you get comments from people, or people joining the chat, commenting on the channel, that kind of stuff. They're younger. I don't get the majority of the people watching this channel are I don't want to say on the older side because it dates us, but on the skew older than 20s, and but the odd time you get a comment from someone that's starting out or on it, and they're in their 20s and they're starting to invest. I think that's awesome. You can be smart, and you can be frugal, and you can still have fun. Yeah, you never know, right? That's the thing with landlords. You can have the best client too, but then all of a sudden they lose their job, or for some reason, I don't know, they get into a bad relationship with somebody, and something goes side. Like, there's so many variables that can go wrong, and it can be. And I've seen stuff from apartments. Well, obviously not paying rent is bad too, but then sometimes you get tenants that will just absolutely thrash the place on their way out, and all of a sudden you haven't been paid rent, and you have to do major repairs to a property as well, which isn't good. But so that would cause me stress. Seeing the market go down, 2% yesterday doesn't cause me the same stress as even thinking about possibly being a landlord. That's just me. That's too crazy. So you've had to pay up front due to your ethnicity. Had to pay up front, but you did pay. Interesting. I know sometimes you can get. Yeah, you might be. I mean, I don't know now. Obviously, the market's a lot different. But when I've rented before, Vic, and paid some up front and got a disc. Like, this is going back a couple of years, but got a discount actually by paying up front. I was able to, which was good. But they gave a bit of a discount on things. So we just make sure if you're paying rent up front. I don't know. I'm in renting now, but I always like to rent from, whether you pay a little bit more, maybe not, but I always rent from a company that does rentals instead of a independent individual landlord. It just feels more secure to me. But because all of a sudden you're renting some apartment and the seller decides to sell, and you have to be out on the street because the person that's buying it is moving in. So I prefer to always stay in a rental only buildings. So Vic, there we go. Yeah, very frugal of you. Instant coffee, and you stolen sugar. Yeah, frugal, cheap, same. Frugal. We call it frugal now, but it's cheap. Whatever. It's okay. All good. And if you're past 22, we are officially old. There you go. MC, being, in my opinion, being intentional is underrated and important. Don't be cheap, but spend things that bring you genuine happiness. Usually this will lead to a healthy balance of life no matter how old you are. Good call. Good call. Yeah, well said. It's exactly it. I mean, it's we've talked about it before. You can, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's cheap to not want to go out and blow money at a pub. Even when I don't drink anymore, but even when I did, I would prefer to have friends over home and have dinner and drinks at home as opposed to go out. So there's frugal ways. There's, instead of, and yeah, it works. So you find that kind of is, more happiness to have friends, family over, as opposed to going out somewhere and overpaying for something like that. But everybody has their own things, but it's in terms of like spending money on things that make you, happiness, spend the money, spend away. If it's cars. I mean, everybody's got their thing that they spend money on that other people would think is stupid, right? It's just the way it works. And what did we talk about last week? I mean, me spending money on watches, right? Most people would think that's ridiculous. But if you're into watches, you're like, okay, that's good. Brings you joy, right? And that's kind of it. So good call, MC. Like it. Yeah, I don't have to. Yeah. Okay. I guess so. But it could be worse. It could always be worse. A glass half full, empty kind of thing. Great. Yeah, the GTA surrounding area is a great place to live for its multiculturalism and diversity. It's much like the city, much like downtown Vancouver was when I lived down there. Definitely like melting pot of everything, lots of different, just kind of whatever, different people. That's all. And it does get like that, right? Yeah, if you travel like an hour outside, the same as parts of the Lower Mainland too. Different areas, but then different areas have different pockets of different ethnicities and areas and stuff as well, which is fine. Gambling. Okay, there you go. Yeah, that's okay. Set aside bit of gambling money for speculative stocks, and that's the thing. People like to buy. People might like to go actually gamble, and spend that money. If that brings you joy, why not? Who's to say, right? It's up to you how you want to spend your money. That's exactly it. Just don't over leverage. All right, there we go. We didn't even get to the news today, and Vic, this is what popped up because I saw you mention it. I'm going to pull it up on the channel, and this kind of goes with our bit of our cheap and frugal conversation as we're talking. But Vic, you brought this up yesterday, and let me pull this up. It was pay per chew restaurant subscriptions, which I know you mentioned this, Vic, yesterday, and this is just sounds crazy to me that people not that restaurants aren't trying it to see if it works to bring in some revenue. Like, kudos to the restaurants, but I could not imagine subscribing. Like, there's no restaurant or anything that I like enough to actually subscribe to a restaurant to have a subscription. And some of these ones, there's one here, this called Gravitas Supper Club. I'm not sure where these are. It's a Michelin starred restaurant. Okay, in Washington. So okay, Michelin star, fair enough. Okay, for $130 a month, the subscribers get a 3-course takeout meal for 2, and you have to pay every month. It's like, I don't know. I just don't see the point. And they have about 60 people signed up per month, just to kind of keep some revenue coming in. So good on the restaurant. And then there's like PF Chang's. They charge $6.99 a month, and members get a free delivery among other perks. So you just get free delivery. And then there was another one that lets. Where is it here? They do more of like a. They pay either $89 per month for $100 of dining credits. So that kind of makes sense. If you do go to the same restaurant all the time, that maybe makes sense because you get some value there. But again, and then that's one way to maybe do it. And then there was another one here. The last one, there was a Mexican Border Grill used to give out free cheese dip a year for if you paid $1. So to kind of get you back in there. But I found this like super, super interesting. I don't think I would ever, I don't know, let me know if in the comments, if anybody would ever think about subscribing for a restaurant. It just seems kind of weird to me, but it's, yeah, I don't know. It kind of baffling because I know Uber Eats that has the subscription where you get free delivery and stuff like that. I don't know. Just my, and I saw that after you had mentioned that, Vic, yesterday, I kind of Googled that article and kind of found that popping up, which was, it's kind of mind blowing to me. I'm trying to cut down on subscription. I think it mentions, does it mention here? The average American has 6.7 subscriptions in 2022, up from 4.2 in 2019, which is crazy. I'm trying to get less subscriptions because they end up costing a fortune. You break it down. I really want to. I still watch Netflix though, but that's one I want to do want to add. But like subscriptions for, there's literally subscriptions for everything. It's crazy. Oh, so restaurants, yeah, they do. They don't make. I mean, that's the thing. They don't make any money, and they're very. It's hard to open a restaurant. Taste change, location. There's always the newest, greatest. If you're in a city, it's always like the newest, greatest restaurant, and then all of a sudden something else opens up, and everybody goes over there. It's definitely a very hard industry to work into, and that's basically probably what more of it is like. All of a sudden, you're just banking on new subscriptions. People will use it for a month or two, and then it's automatically billed to your credit card, and then you might get another month or two out of them before they decide I keep getting billed for this, and then I got to cancel it. Then you just kind of keep that rolling with new people, but it's crazy. I was also looking at subscriptions, like 6.7 subscriptions, and it's like add on a restaurant to that. It's crazy. So you watch, oh, awesome. Rest of your stream again. Good. Eating out has become it's too expensive. It's way too expensive. You have to be definitely intentful about how often going out, whereas before you just go. That's exactly it. So I think you go once a month now. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I haven't been out unless I'm traveling or something for going to visit my mom and I'm stopped somewhere for lunch or something like that. I don't even think to really go out because it ends up being a fortune, and I can benefit because I had a history of being a chef. So a lot of times you look at what you're ordering, you're like, I could just make this at home and it would be better, so I do have that added kind of benefit of having the experience to be able to cook like that kind of thing. And I know a lot of people can't, but there's so many videos on YouTube and that kind of thing out there to learn how to cook a decent meal. You don't have to go crazy. You can create a nice rustic home cooked nice meal for not very expensive. And I always equate that because you get the bill, you go order something and then you get the bill back and it's $50-$60. Two people have lunch or cheap dinner, and then you go, the $60, how much could I buy in groceries for this? And it's like, and because groceries are a fortune already. So and yeah, tipping's the big thing too. I mean, I don't, obviously, if you're not going out to sit with being server, it's like, what's the point of tipping if you're going to pick something up? Why should you tip? It's hard to know. I mean, I did when I used to go, when I lived in Alberta, when I was in Calgary, there was a restaurant that was close by and used to go every couple weeks, and it would be for pickup, and I know the servers were in there. You'd always give them a couple bucks or a few bucks because they're probably, they're only depending on, this is when restaurants were closed. They could only do pickup, right? So you tip them a little bit because they're at least there, need some, depending on tips to live a lot of times for servers. But now that everything's back open again, it can get quite expensive. Good call. There you go, Ian. Yeah, if you went to the keg over Valentine's, I could imagine the keg being crazy. And I know they're busy all the time. I had a keg by where I used to live, and it was always packed for dinner. I went there maybe once or twice. I had a gift card given to me at one point, and I went there, and it was just like packed. So invest in the keg. It's a good way to do it. Yeah. I'm with you there, Candace. At a restaurant, the last time I went with friends to a restaurant, went to a patio. It was in the summer. It was good food though. It was good. It was an Italian restaurant, but it was really good actually. But it was back in. It was probably back in May or June of last year, I guess. And it was good because it was good to go with friends and stuff like that. But to go out all the time, and it was packed. Patio was packed. The restaurant was packed. Yeah. Thankfully, didn't have to pay the bill because it was someone else's treat. So it's like, okay, I'll go. But it worked. Yeah, I don't even think to go out on a weekend or anything like that. Did more when I lived in the city when I was younger because it was just like close by and easy, you know. Oh, the good call, Vic. BMW lounge. There you go. Yeah, go to the lounge. Maybe if you have a friend that has one, just borrow it and drive it around. Yeah. And the cake is definitely consistent. You definitely know what you're going to get no matter where you go. But food is good. Steak is expensive, but it's expensive to buy it yourself too. But if you have a nice barbecue, you can do it yourself. Have a nice. It's not that hard to fire a good steak on the barbecue, put a baked potato in the oven, and grill off some vegetables on the barbecue either, and have pretty much just as good a meal at half or a quarter of the price. But I get you. Keg is consistent. It's been popular for a long time. I don't know do they have any? I don't think they have any they must have one or two vegetarian items in the keg. It's been so long since I've been there. It's probably been 10 years since I've been at a keg. I think the last, back to Candace's comment, eating out, but I think the last the one food I will pick up and go get if I'm, instead of making, will be sushi. I like sushi, so can't do that at home. I'm sure some people can, but I can't make sushi for the life of me. Lots of work. The baked potato should be Ian, good call, in a microwave. We're saving money. I actually don't have, so I'll take it one step further. I actually don't have a microwave because I just use an oven. So it's I think that comes because that comes from being working in hotels and stuff, not using a microwave. So go with that. But it is faster to use microwave, that's for sure. But not a fan. I'll just turn the oven on and bake some potatoes. I do have a little convection oven. I wouldn't actually recommend sushi at Petro-Canada, but it's okay. Yeah, there's some good sushi places actually. You can have a good lunch for $10, $15 still actually, for some sushi. Just do pick up, order it, call it. A lot of times too, if you're not using the like one thing with with those apps and stuff is sometimes you can just call the restaurant directly, right? And they give you like 10% off if you pick up that kind of stuff. There was a good sushi restaurant by my mom's, so every time I go visit her, we usually pick up sushi, and it's good. It's not like super crazily priced. You get good size rolls and portions, and it's not that expensive. And I know if you pick it up, like you call them, pick it up, it's ready in like 15-20 minutes, and I think it's 10% off, 10 or 15% off. So a couple people can eat for pretty inexpensively for a few rolls, and they're good. It's nice and fresh. Yeah, I haven't had sushi for a long time. Now that I'm craving sushi. So, one sec here. There we go. That's all. So that's all the news I had. We're coming up to the hour. So thanks everybody for joining in. I always appreciate these. I like how I did have some other kind of things to pull up in terms of GICs and stuff because we were talking about yesterday, but we'll carry that on for tomorrow. And we'll keep it going. Uber, there we go. Yeah, Uber. So Uber has they have buy one get one. Okay. Yeah, look for deals. There we go. Be cheap. Be cheap. Frugal. There we go. I haven't used Uber Eats or anything like that for a long time, but good call. Look for those sales. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Coming up at 9, I got work today. Just again, though, I do appreciate everybody that's been watching the live streams, joining live. Of course, it really helps out the channel. These mornings are always a lot of fun. And I'm happy to hopefully keep you distracted for half an hour from work, if that's okay. That's all good. I appreciate all your views, and everybody that's just watching. If you're still watching this on the replay, it's always appreciated. The channel, just to update monetization. Everybody keeps somebody that gets that question. It's so close. It goes between like literally needing 10 hours, 20 hours. It just really depends on the day. So the goal is still end of the month. I think that's going to happen. So we'll keep you posted. So again, every view helps. If anybody wants to go back, rewatch an old stream, that would obviously help the channel as well. But always appreciated joining us live for the live stream. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Tomorrow's Thursday, almost the end of the week. Thanks everybody, and